There's no doubt that the railways have been essential for moving both people and goods between destinations for centuries now. In many parts of the world, especially developed nations, railways have seen significant development with cutting-edge rail infrastructure like the high-speed rails of Japan. These have no doubt contributed to reducing travel time. However, railway infrastructure is usually seen in metropolitan cities and not in many other geographical landscapes. The Gulf Cooperation Council is planning to set aside $100 billion to construct one of the world's most ambitious projects that would span over a distance of 2,177 kilometers through 6 countries. Would this project be possible, taking into consideration the challenges and obstacles it poses? Let's find out what we know about the $100 billion railway in the desert. Let's first take a closer look at the Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) before we explain why this large-scale project must be built. In May 1981, in Riyadh, 6 wealthy countries came together to form a council. Its goal was to bring its members together based on their shared goals and similar political and cultural identities that would derive from Arab and Islamic cultures. These 6 nations are Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and United Arab Emirates. From its formation in the year 1981 to 2008, these countries were dealing with oil and natural gas, so there's no doubt that they've made a lot of money from it. Their economies were thriving, however, the Great Recession that hit the market in 2008-2009 severely affected them. Plummeting prices of oil and gas reduced their business. This was where the idea of building a railway came in. The Gulf Cooperation Council proposed the GCC railway build a rail link that would connect each of its 6 members. Given that oil and gas lost billions of dollars during the Great Recession, this would also aid in diversifying the economies of the Gulf states away from these industries. By linking the nation's ports with manufacturing hubs and urban centers, the railway was also suggested as a way to support the member states' economies in growing further. The ambitious railroad project, estimated to cost between $100 and $250 billion, was approved by the GCC countries as leaders in 2009. All of the members would be responsible for paying the project's estimated cost. This includes the governments of Kuwait, Bahrain, and Etihad Rail, as well as the railroads of Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. The project was planned so as to cross through 6 Gulf states in eastern Arabia. The route would start in Kuwait City, travel through Dammam and Al-Batha port in Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi and Al Ain in the United Arab Emirates, pass through Sohar in Oman, and then end in Muscat. Branch routes from Dammam will connect to Bahrain via the King Hamad Causeway and to Qatar via Salwa port. More connectivity will be possible thanks to the proposed Qatar-Bahrain Causeway, connecting Bahrain and Qatar. In addition, it is suggested that Bahrain build 3 stations. After leaving Dammam and entering Bahrain, the line will stop at Khalifa bin Salman Port, then at the Bahrain International Airport, and then the Amwaj Islands. From Amwaj, the line will head to Qatar. A total of 1,353 miles, or 2,177 kilometers, would be covered by the rail infrastructure under this proposal. In terms of speed, the GCC members agreed that the operating speed should be around 220 kilometers per hour. However, there would also be freight trains running alongside this rail line. These would travel between 80 and 130 kilometers per hour on average. It would be fully operational by 2023. Each of the 6 GCC member states is in charge of carrying out the project's portion that is located on its soil, and each will build its railway lines, branches, stations, and freight terminals. According to how long each nation's rail network is, the cost will be split among 6. Due to this, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates will spend most money on the project, followed by Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain. The network will be developed by the Saudi Railway Company in Saudi Arabia, Etihad Rail in the United Arab Emirates, Oman Rail in Oman, and Qatar Rail in Qatar. However, the UAE's need for a railway system was an issue that was recognized for a very long time. According to studies that started in 1997, the need for a railway arose from the need to relieve rising motor traffic levels and support ongoing urban development. So in September 2009, the Bi-City made its first attempt to create its metro network system, which was fully operated by the RTA. It became the first urban metro system to operate in the Arab nations of the Gulf. There is no denying that the UAE has created a clear version as well as a well-thought-out strategy to take the lead in the development of rail transport infrastructure. Let's take the Etihad Rail project, which is the first national freight and passenger railroad network connecting the major areas of the United Arab Emirates, as an example. Etihad Rail is anticipated to be a sustainable and effective alternative for moving freight and people throughout the UAE's urban and rural areas. The estimated cost of this 1,200-kilometer railway project is $11 billion. With this infrastructure, the UAE will be connected to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain and Oman as part of the $100 billion GCC rail program. Additionally, adopting global practices will be crucial to the long-term development of the railway industry. Though this sounds like a project that would solve many problems at once, there are challenges in constructing this ambitious project. Given that 90% of Arabia is made up of sand, building a structure that is safe and secure for engineers, construction workers, and others does present a challenge. Sand can form dunes, which can alter the landscape in a variety of ways when there are strong winds present. However, some nations including China, Mauritania, and Saudi Arabia have built successful, well-planned rail lines. These countries discovered ways to lessen the effects of environmental and geographic changes by converting dunes to clay, keeping an eye on the shifting dunes, and planting walls of vegetation to block wind and sand. The rough mountain terrain in the UAE's and Oman's northern regions would present additional difficulties. These mountains reach heights of roughly 3,000 meters. The rough terrain would make this project equally challenging as taming the sand. The technical difficulties involved in building tunnels, navigating treacherous passes, and avoiding viaducts would also present challenges for the railway's construction. However, the construction of the Etihad Rail marked the establishment of the nation's first national rail system. They have found a solution to the geographical issue involving the shifting terrain brought on by sand. They were able to move through the desert because of the sand filtration system and sand plow included in the locomotive design. There could be other ways of solving the other challenges which we've mentioned. However, would this project be a success? The Gulf states altogether are unquestionably enormous geographically, but they also hold enormous potential for natural resources in a nation like the United Arab Emirates. It will be possible for the governments within the GCC to access these untapped natural resources with the aid of the proposed rail system. Even though the Etihad rail network is expanding, the GCC rail project as a whole hasn't always gone as expected. They excluded Qatar from the group, casting doubt on its participation in the railroad project. Additionally, the pandemic and the rise in oil prices resulted in logistical hiccups and budget cuts for the infrastructure, which pushed back the completion date by years. The leaders of the Gulf have transitioned from having an ambitious and occasionally unrealistic vision to one that is pragmatic. Even though Etihad hasn't yet specified a specific opening date for the railway for commuters, it may be difficult to convince a nation that values cars to adopt the railway. According to a 2020 survey conducted in the UAE, 83% of the people rely on their cars while only 13% use public transportation. And if there is a doubt about the project, it will be related to how willing the populace is to board the railway and travel from city to city. Nevertheless, these nations' plans to increase their economic diversity and sustainability heavily rely on the railway. Additionally, it has spawned a new industry, which means more employment. So what is the current scenario of this project? The construction of railroad infrastructure today is synonymous with progress, innovation, and sustainability. The UAE and Saudi Arabia are said to be responsible for a significant portion of the $69 billion worth of rail projects that are currently being built in the GCC, according to Middle East rails organizers. Additionally, over the past 3 decades, rail study programs have been developed by Saudi Arabia and its major partner, the UAE. The GCC members' economies have experienced exponential growth, and the railway system will contribute to continued economic expansion. Etihad Rail is an illustration of the leadership's strategic vision for creating a more cohesive and interconnected Gulf region. These nations' railway systems are promoting the development of new modes of transportation and the switch to renewable energy sources. And the explanation is very straightforward. Rail transportation offers a level of energy efficiency, safety, and sustainability that is unmatched by other modes of transportation. Because of this, cities that are incorporated into a well-established and a well-maintained railway infrastructure can stimulate their own development through the free flow of people, goods, and businesses. Let us know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Press the bell icon to never miss any upcoming update, and thank you for watching.